Accuracy and me don't get along. Believe me. The bananas. It's not a potassium thing. I'm just a big fan. Hey, if my source said to me they're going to Czechoslovakia this week, how am I to blame? I'm passing the information.
Here he is, one half of the team on Czech television, Donnie and Dhali, our Friday Canucks insider. Oh, of course, weekdays 10 to 12. Our Friday Canucks insider, Rick Dhaliwal, back with Sekeres and Price. Ricky, I noticed we took the banana out of the intro, so there you go. You ask and
yes,
sort of
edit.
You did, and I thank you for that. And absolutely, radio, television, and eating. It's very tough.
It is.
You guys
know. It is.
It's very
Rick,
tough.
can I say this? You've inspired me. I now have some banana in my cereal over the last week or so. Yeah, well, I mean, you've done such a great job as a spokesperson for bananas that you've got me on the train.
Is Chiquita officially on the partnership?
I don't know. Rick,
Dole or
is there
Chiquita?
anything you'd like to tell us about Czech's sponsorship lineup here?
No. But I will tell you, keep eating the bananas. Good potassium,
Right.
very healthy. And I have one apple a day. Apple keeps the doctor away. And I have one orange a day. Absolute must. Those three things every day.
We were in Northlands the other day, by the way, and saw some of their new fashion choices at the Pro Shop. Very Dhaliwalian.
Well, the last time he was there,
you know
a few weeks ago, Ricky, if I'm not mistaken, you made a beeline for one particular garish pattern that they had at Northlands.
There was a purple shirt at Northlands in the Pro Shop. Beautiful, by the way, course. Beautiful. And thanks for the invite lately. You two, unbelievable. But anyways, purple shirt with those palm trees. Though I was this close to buying it. This close. Next time I'm there, when I get an invite from you two in the next 9 years, I'm gonna purchase.
We saw some fellas in there yesterday eyeing the same shirts that you did, Rick. In fact, one of them even
purple
tried one on.
The black one, the purple one is in the women's section.
Yes, but
I still
a little bit of color on the golf course. Like you don't want to look like you're going to a funeral like Don Taylor did today.
And to defend Dhali, the women's ones are sleeveless. Very liberating on the golf course.
Shows off the pipes.
Yeah, so I understand why you
and let me get this in quickly. You two may be the only guys I know in the media that get to golf before going to work. I have never heard of it. Donnie and I and Ryan, we get here early. We're working on the show. You're the only two that golf before work.
You're done at noon. Yeah. Just stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Just stop.
Exactly. All right, let's get into it.
Good point.
Good point. Home finale last night. Season finale tonight.
No. One last thing. You got to get Taylor to loosen up on Fridays a little bit. Like today, I'm watching him. He's in a dark suit. I'm like, is Donnie going to be a pallbearer after the show? You know, like you wear the colors. It's casual Fridays. You got to get Donnie in the rhythm, in the routine.
It's Hawaiian Friday for me. I have made a pitch to both these guys. Let's do a Hawaiian Friday together. But Henderson, you know him. He's got his stupid Red Sox stuff on and all that other crap. And Police Synchronicity from 1992. And Taylor's got his black jacket. They don't want to. They don't do it. They don't listen to me in this studio.
Well, maybe Hawaii is a bridge too far for them, and you're quite right. Ryan, his entire wardrobe is concert and sports tees. So, okay, you wanted to ask him? Are we starting with the Bodog question?
Let's just quickly talk about the way that they finished up at home, because the home schedule up until the end of March was basically a 500 record here, Rick, and they were better. Yeah. They were better in April, and they gave fans a reason to think that maybe it could be a fortress. Because let's face it, if they're a top 15 home record, they're in the playoffs, but they're not.
Absolutely.
And go ahead.
Yeah. No, 6-0-2 at home in April. They got to make Rogers Arena a tough place to play, and it hasn't been for the last few years. I know you don't have a big bruising team like St. Louis, Minnesota, but you can also say, holy smokes, we don't want to go to Vancouver. They beat you with skill. They beat you with speed. They beat you with goaltending. It just make Rogers Arena tough place to win. Their road record this year, guys, was very good. On the road, they play well on the road. But the biggest lesson they got to take away from this year, guys, you cannot start the season 16-4-2. You can't play catch-up hockey for 4 or 5 months. In one part of defense, and this goes back to Travis Green and the day one of training camp, it was always disjointed. There was no Hughes, Pettersson, Hamonic, Sutter, Mott. They were missing five guys on day one of camp. Next year at camp, have everybody there, have all your systems ready to go. They just it seemed disjointed from day one of camp. You can't have that next year.
Great show, Ricky. Day one of camp matters. Being in there, and all that time in training camp and preseason and practices, all of that matters. Particularly when you're not practicing as much as you used to in the NHL because of the travel and the rules. The other thing I'll say is not rescheduling games because you want 100% capacity. That came back to bite them in the ass this year as well. So there's a lot of different areas where you can say a point here, a couple of points here, a couple of points there, including the home record. And maybe this team is in a playoff spot or at least fighting for one tonight in the last game. I saw your poll question today. Did Besser play his final home game as a Canuck? We're broadening it a little bit with greater trade candidates or the field of trade candidates. Who do you think's most likely, Rick, between Besser, Garland, Miller, Myers, or do you want to go someone else? Who do you think is most likely to be dealt this summer?
If you're going to give the money to Besser, Miller, and Horvat, you got to delete somewhere else. And I think Rutherford said it. We got to get younger, and we got to get our cap situation under control. And I think that if they can do those two things in the summer, then I think that definitely. You know what? But here's the thing on Besser I'm going to tell you about right now. He's got the qualifier at $7.5 million. It is risky to trade goal scorers. I know there's people out there say he's not fast, but come on. He's got great hockey sense. He look at last night's overtime winner. Look at the way he positioned himself in front of the net, and then boom. Even the first goal he got, he did some good board work along the boards, and then he positioned. He's smart. He knows where to go on the ice. If you get him the puck, he's going to bury it. You know what? This guy, it's risky if you're going to move Besser. Everything I've heard is they don't want to move him. They want to get him into a new deal. And for the first time, I always thought that getting Besser back because he's a UFA in 2 years, I always thought maybe it would have to take a 3, 4, 5-year deal to get Brock signed. But I've been told that a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, all that's on the table, 3-year deal, 4, 5. So you know what? I think that if they can get a 1-year deal and just play it a year by year till free agency, everything's on the table is what I was told this week about Besser. So you know what? And 19 of his 23 goals, as Jeff Patterson pointed out, were with Boudreau, not Travis Green. He actually was one of the players that benefited from the coaching change big time. And the other thing about Brock Boeser, for the first time in his career, he played 70 games. He hit the 70-game threshold for the first time. This guy scores. He's one of 4 guys on this team with over 20 goals. I think that they will try their hardest to get him done.
You're right about the 70 games. That sticks out like a sore thumb. And granted, he's got excuses for the last 2, but it's just strange to see a guy in the league for 5 years, 5 full years, and not have a 7 in front of the games played. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? All he ever does is score when he's healthy. You guys know that. He gets to play with the top players. He gets to play on the power play. But he's a finisher. He's a sniper. And you know what? He hasn't reached his first-year career high of 29 in 217. But look if he bangs in a couple tonight, he's going to get to 25. And did he not go through a stretch this year, guys, with the 14 games without a goal? You throw in a couple there, and all of a sudden, maybe he's closer to his 29, his career total. So despite all the doom and gloom about this guy in this market, he could hit 25 tonight. He had that bad stretch where 14 games he didn't score. But I do believe in my heart that the club wants him back. I don't think it's going to be a super hard to work out a deal here as something.
Perhaps missed opportunity. I think it's a missed opportunity if you're bringing Coach Boudreau back that you didn't announce it yesterday and give that crowd one more chance to salute Bruce. Well, they've done a fair bit of it. Can't imagine we'll hear anything today. do you think next week, after the players get their media availabilities done on Sunday, do you think next week we will hear an announcement official from the club that Bruce is coming back, or do you think it lingers beyond sort of
I got more
Lockwood?
people. I got more people telling me he's going to be back. I'm hearing a lot of positivity, but I'm not sitting here saying I know that for sure. I'm just the people I've reached out to have said to me that they should get a deal done. I think the Canucks are willing to go to 3 years. I think 4 may be tough. I also your article this week, Matt. The one that you wrote, I thought was a great article about, at some point a few weeks ago, I don't think they wanted him back. And now all of a sudden there is they want to get it done, and certainly hearing positive things that they could get it done here soon. But by the same token, guys, why didn't they want to get it done? Was it a new GM that wanted a new coach? A lot of people think that. A lot of people think it's the owner sitting there going, "Holy smokes, hold it a second. For the first time, I got a coach here that's winning a lot, 32-15-9. I don't want to let him go." That's plausible. You got a general manager in Rutherford, who's got a history going back with Boudreau. I don't. I don't. I do. They should get it done, guys. I don't know. I got more reasons. And more people tell me it's going to get done than the other way around.
I think you've exhausted from the team side how this is viewed, which is what is bringing me now to Bruce Boudreau himself, Rick. And I'm wondering whether the delay is because Bruce wants to see what jobs open, whether he's a candidate, and whether or not there's one that would be preferable to him than the Vancouver Canucks, whether that's Toronto or Vegas or Philly or some other team out there.
Well, let me throw this at you. The 16 teams that are making the NHL playoffs, they pretty well got damn good rosters. I don't see those guys making a ton of moves. Maybe Dallas if Rick Bowness retires. If you're trying to tell me out of the remaining teams that didn't make the playoffs, how many are in a better position than Vancouver? Philadelphia, does he want to go to Philadelphia at this age with that roster and how bad they're looking at for another few more years before they turn it around?
I include them
I don't know
because he lives in Pennsylvania, but point taken.
Yeah, no, and I get that. But I'm looking at the remaining 16 teams. Let's say the 16 teams that made the playoffs don't make a coaching change. Okay, now what are you picking from, Matt? You're picking from not really
Vegas
good
would still
situations.
be there. You're quite right.
Okay,
Vegas would still be there.
Yeah.
There would be other situations around the league that would still be open. But I hear you. Point taken, Rick.
Yeah.
Of the 16 failures, Vancouver would be higher up the list.
And from everything, and look at his quote last night, guys, when they asked him about the fans chanting his name. The guy is just he can't believe the fans are chanting.
Toronto and Edmonton are wild. Toronto and Edmonton are wild cards, though, right? So, quick exits for the playoffs for those two teams would be pretty tantalizing, and I can't imagine that those two coaches survive if it's a quick exit. So.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a quick, you're right, Blake. We shouldn't discount.
Let me ask you this, though.
Because other team like Winnipeg, Detroit, Jersey, there are some teams that are outside that you could convince yourself are on the upswing. Anyways, go ahead.
What I was going to ask you is, when Podkolzin said, Bruce, there it is, that might be the first time I have heard rosy words from a player about the coach.
Yeah.
Their play has done all the talking. So I'm not saying there's any rift. I'm not suggesting that. But I would think that if this room was just gushing with love for Bruce Boudreau, we would have heard a little bit more about it, of this guy's brought us all together. I haven't heard anything. You talk with the agents. They're the closest thing because we don't get a chance to talk with the players nearly as much as we did pre-pandemic. Do you hear the agents say, "Oh, that my guy loves Bruce"? Are you hearing that level of love? And I'm not saying there's adversarial relationship. I just wonder, are we overdoing how much he's actually affected the room?
I go to JT Miller's comments this week, and what else do you need to know? We were told by national media that JT Miller wants out. He'll never re-sign in Vancouver. And then his agent, Brian Bartley, told me that we will talk contract with the Vancouver Canucks.
That to me, though,
in the summer.
Did he mention the coach? That to me was me and these guys in this room are want to get it done. I didn't hear him really go out of the way about Bruce Boudreau.
But unless a media guy asks you, Blake, do you go out of your way to pump up a coach? I mean, even the year in the bubble, the Canucks had success. How many people came out and said, hey, Travis Green's the reason why? Well, he obviously was. I mean, they did well in the bubble. But I just, the feel I get from talking, it's funny you bring this up. I had an agent of a client in Abbotsford who told me yesterday, he said his clients, he thinks it's a world of difference. With the new
management's different. Management's different.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm trying to piece it all together. There is a different vibe. There is a different feel since the change has been made. I definitely see it. I hear it from people when I talk about the Vancouver Canucks. Everyone has recognized this great run they're on. It sounds like things are better in Abbotsford. And they're on an incredible roll, despite the fact losing last night, they got pummeled. But I do feel, Blake, I do. When I talk to people around the league, I do feel a better sense and a feel about Vancouver for sure.
Because we don't get the access to clues. But you bring up the bubble. In the bubble, after one game, I remember there was a camera shot of Bo Horvat coming down the tunnel and embracing Travis Green, and that's a clue of okay, there's a good connection there. We just don't get to see any of those clues in today's day and age.
Yeah. And because of, we remember the old days, 20 of us would walk in the dressing room and we can grab any player we wanted.
And just be like,
you can't do that.
I wanted, and maybe we'll get more of this in the exit interviews here, the locker cleanup. But, I just haven't heard a player say, oh, this guy has meant the world of difference.
Okay, first of all, what have we seen in the last 2 weeks? Everyone with career highs. Okay, so we got Hughes breaking records. We got Chase on for crying out loud with 13 goals. Everyone was ripping him because they picked him over Gadjevich. We got Besser at 23 goals. We got Pettersson a career high. Miller's almost Podkolzin 9 points last 10 games. All I see in the last few weeks is all these guys breaking individual records, Blake. Something's got to be. They can't hate the coach.
What did I say at the start? No. I'm not saying they hate the coach. I'm just saying, is the love affair? Is it a love affair, or is it just this works? It's good, but there are. It's what, but are they willing to really go out of their way to advocate? Because what needs to happen in these exit interviews, I think, is the players saying, no, this is our guy. Because if there's any fence sitting by the management, what might push them off the fence in one direction is the players saying, this is my guy. I mean, my world's changed since Bruce Boudreau's come in here. And I haven't seen, outside of Podkolzin's comment, I haven't seen many examples of that might be the case.
That's a good point, but the best point you made is that we don't have access to all the players anymore. It's here's the two that are trotted out before practice. Here's the two that are trotted out post game. We don't have a say. Before we walked in and just grabbed, we just walked into the Canucks dressing room, grabbed anybody we wanted. Can't do that anymore.
Speaking of Podkolzin, I know that was several minutes ago, and I'm glad you guys are getting along so well this week.
I love Blake.
Can we say with certainty that he is going to play for the Abbotsford Canucks during their postseason run? Jeff picked up yesterday that he said he wanted to talk to his agent, but we know he's been papered down. We know he could use the games. He spoke about that.
He spoke positively about that possibility.
So do we know for sure he's going to Abbotsford? And do you have any kind of a sense of where he might play?
Well, I have reached out.
Go ahead.
I have reached out to the agent and I got nothing back. So I will also say this to you. We had Trent call on the show earlier this week and we asked him about Podkolzin and he was hemming and hawing as well. He was kind of like, well, so I didn't, we're not getting a direct, but here's the thing, guys. There's two things at play here. He goes to Abbotsford and maybe he doesn't light it up like everyone expects him to. Will that hurt the kid's confidence? Yeah. Two, health-wise, there's, he's just finished his first year in the National Hockey League, right? There's a lot of things at play. We're trying to get to the bottom of it, but I do think you guys are correct. We're not getting a definite answer from him.
This will be his 79th game tonight. He played 35. He played a little bit of VHL games, I think, last year too. He probably played in the vicinity of 65 games last year too. So he's not that much past it, but that's another month of hockey really. If you played 13 more games, so. That's a lot of hockey, but you're trying to stretch this player out a little bit. It's going to be, it's not life or death, but I think I'd like to see him there. I mean, even if he's a little bit drier than you'd like in terms of production, Rick, I think you'd still like to get him that experience. No.
It's not the norm, though, because most rookies who play an entire year don't usually get sent to the
with any modicum of success, too, which he's had.
And there has to be a part of him that says, hey, guys, great idea, love it, but I'm a National Hockey League player. I just finished the whole season. Who knows? But there's something there. And when we asked Trent Cull about him, Trent didn't really come out and say he's 100% he's coming. So he kind of hemmed and hawed. So let's see how that one plays out for sure.
Lastly, Kuzmenko, the Russian winger. We understand that Vancouver might be sitting pretty, might be well positioned there for his services.
I think the Canucks are high on his list. I think that this player also recognizes Vancouver as well. His agent, Dan Milstein, says a lot of teams are going to be after him. I think the Canucks are going to be a big time in the mix. We'll see how it plays out. Also hearing Edmonton, that team's name has popped up in Kuzmenko as well. But I do believe, I'm not saying he's coming to Vancouver, no way, but I am saying I think the Canucks are going to have a pretty good, decent shot at acquiring him. And let's go back and think about this, guys. The acquisition cost on Kuzmenko is zero. You don't have to cough up a draft pick. You don't have to cough up a player. The reason 25 teams are after him is very simple. It's it's a freebie.
Well, what's the number, do you think? Whether it's the Canucks or the Oilers or whoever's paying him, what do you think the number is? Because we've often struggled with this, nailing what does a KHL star get in his first NHL contract? Do you pay him for the KHL numbers? Like it's a difficult contract to draw up, I think.
It is. You are correct on that. I haven't delved into that part of it yet, Blake, because right now the interviews start next week. Patrick Alvin was at the World U18s in Germany this week. He gets back. So I'm going to presume that Kuzmenko will talk with the Vancouver Canucks via Zoom next week. So I think that Patrick will be a part of that Zoom call. The Rutherford, Boudreau, all those guys will try and convince him that Vancouver is the best place to play. He wants to go to where he thinks he'll make the team, and he wants to go to, also coaching is important. So if coaching is important, I'm pretty sure the Canucks want to, start telling people who their coach is going to be next year. That's why a lot of people think the Boudreau decision could be a lot sooner than later. So we're getting to that time, that neck of the woods where everybody kind of wants to know, hey, who's coaching your team next year? So let's see where Kuzmenko goes. Last week I told you they'll be in the mix. This week I'm telling you they're high on the list. So let's see if they can get this player, but there's going to be competition, folks. A lot of competition for this guy.
You have a wonderful weekend, Rick. Thank you for this. We'll catch up next Friday. Okay, bud?
See you next Friday, and have a good one, Matt.
He's out to hurt my feelings. He's out to hurt my feelings.
Oh, so he's just addressing me,
just
not
addressing
you.
This is like,
okay.
Hey, Sekeres and I go back. I love this guy.
I go back further than you.
Hey,
with you.
Sekeres and I, but hold it a second. Sekeres and I used to work. He was at the Globe and Mail, one of the fantastic.
I know where he came from.
One of the best writers in the country. Just let me finish. One of the best writers in the country, Globe and Mail. But Maddie and I used to work on Lion stories. I'll never forget that one story where David Braley ripped Tom Wright, and I had the clip, and I'm playing the clip to Maddie, and Maddie's in Ottawa listening, just dumbfounded, couldn't believe it. And the other great story about Sekeres is somebody told me he ripped the hell out of Tom Wright at a press conference in Ottawa. I couldn't stop laughing when he told me that. Hey, that's the story version I heard.
Rick Dhaliwal, everybody, every Friday with
Rick.
Sekeres and Price. Crown Clock.
Adios, amigos.
There he goes. He's out.
By the way,
it wasn't quite that, but we'll just let his version of events play out. It's ancient history.
The closest comparable I could think of, and maybe you got another one in your head, but Russian stars coming over. Vadim Shipachev, remember? Coming over with the Vegas Golden. He's a little older. He was like 30, but he got $4.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
So
and was instantly disliked in Vegas, so it might be a cautionary tale.
No, totally.
I think this kid is probably in position to ask for that or more.
Yeah, I'm thinking 5.5. Yeah, that's my guess on that
be
number.
My guess.